Back to school means it's the time of the year. You got to get those annual back to school checkups for your kids.
They are important. In today's Living Well, Taylor Holt talks about the importance of getting those shots, the immunizations, and ways to keep you and your kiddos safe.
It's that time of the year, making the back-to-school checklist for many parents. And Washington University pediatrician Dr. John Cole says well checks should be part of that.
Every year we recommend a checkup for children because it's very important to monitor their growth, monitor their development, monitor their mental health, just to make sure that there's no issues going on, because a lot of times that well visit may be the only time that we see them.
He says making sure kids are up to date on immunizations should be part of that to protect them and the community against certain diseases, including measles, mumps, and polio, especially as some are starting to reappear. He's glad to see immunizations increasing after a drop during the pandemic.
Immunizations actually start at birth with the first hepatitis B vaccine, and then typically after that, when your child is 1 to 2 months old, they will begin the routine immunization series that's recommended by the Centers for Disease Control. So what happens is when you come in for your visits with your pediatrician or family physician, they're going to talk with you about those immunizations.
In the meantime, parents should monitor for any concerns in growth and development like weight gain, not eating or sleeping well, or having trouble focusing. But outside of the office, his advice is just spending time together.
Reading is a really important thing that parents can do with their younger children especially. And then with older children, just making sure that you're spending time with them and encouraging them, loving on them, letting them know, because one of the most important things for children is that self-confidence and that self-esteem, and that really comes from their family unit.
Taylor Holt, News 4.